ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו שהכל נברא.
Amen.
L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim, bracha. So we continue with our mimer. And so what we explained, and it's interesting, it's an explanation of Pirkei Avos, of the ethics of our fathers, in chapter 5. We learned this past week, the first Mishnah, that God could have created the world with one mimer, with one statement. God's God, he could have done it. Why did he create it with 10 statements? So, to bring the concept of reward and punishment. That's what the Mishnah says. So, the Rebbe here is explaining it in a deeper, profound way. If God would have created with one mimer, with one statement, that one statement would be then a reflection of the light of God that's beyond this world, that there's only but God. And everything would be godly. And we wouldn't have freedom of choice. We would, right? Now that he made it with 10, meaning 10, bringing out the idea that there's division, there's singularity, there's plurality, right? There's plurality. And that's what gives rise to reward and punishment, because now we could choose. If we live in a world where there's just oneness of God, right, which primarily was Gan Eden, Garden of Eden, that Adam and Eve lived in. So there's not much choice. They only had choice in one area, of course, which they failed, which was the plan that God wanted, right? That they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So that was part of the plan. But what the Rebbe is adding over here is that oneness of that God, he could have created the world, and he could have, by the Rebbe, by God, is not could have, he did. But he did so in a concealed way. In the 10 statements of creation, where there is duality, separateness, where we feel our independence, and therefore we feel we could choose. I mean, we can choose, right? Embedded in there is the oneness of God. It's there. That oneness of God is there. It's not that it's not there. It's there within all of creation. It's there everywhere. L'chaim. In a simple cup of coffee. That which is beyond. Right? And our avodah is to take from the hiddenness our divine service is to take from the hiddenness that is the deeper reality within creation and to reveal it through our divine service. Now, the truth is, in the 10, there's also a, it's God's word. So God's presence is there. Why do we need beyond? Why do we need a light of God that's beyond this world? So, the bottom line is to become batal, nullified, self-effacement, um, being immersed in divinity. So, there's two ways that can happen. It's called bittul hayesh and bittul mitzias. So the light that is infusing the world now of God, it's God's light. It's his word, right? God were to take away his word, wouldn't be. It's continuously creating the world. So that light that is continuously creating the world that is within the nature of the thing that it creates. So an eye, like just like the soul gives vitality to the eye to see, the ear to hear, there's distinction. So that's also vitality of God, from God. There's animating everything in creation in its detailed, unique, individual form. So that light of God we can also become aware of and nullify ourselves to that light of God. In other words, uh, uh, nullify meaning, as I have given many times the example, you can eat with we eat with our eyes and we see the physical, nicety of the food that we have that, is pleasant to the eyes, or that we can recognize that really what's animating, it's we recognize what's animating this food is God. He's giving life to it. And therefore, when you recognize that this food is being animated by God, right? You'll have you'll eat differently than when this is food. This is food. And therefore, it's all about me and the pleasure I have in this food, right? It's all about me and the pleasure that I have in this food. Right? That comes from klipa. That because I'm separate from God. But God is animating this food at this moment. He's animating me at this moment. So when I understand that it's clothed within me a vital force from God, in the food that I'm eating, a vital force from God, right? So then I will deal with the food very differently. I won't, because I understand that there's something divine, light, divine energy of God that's animating this food. So I will nullify myself. This is where the nullification comes in. I'm nullifying my desire to eat with my eyes, which is coming from the animal soul, its desire, right? Than to eat with my mind's eye that recognizes, in my mind's eye, right? And your physical eye doesn't recognize it, but your mind's eye recognizes that God's animating this piece of food. So I'll eat more refinedly as a result. And not only that, recognizing it, so I'm going to make a blessing on the food. Right? I'm going to act in a different manner than that this piece of food is just for my pleasure. That's all it is. Just for my pleasure. That's completely separate from God. That's klipa. But I can self-efface and not eat this because it is, right? So as a result, you know, well, this will lead you to eat more healthily, that you'll eat more, you know, you're not eating for the type of the pleasure seeking as simply, right? Now, it's all not all black and white the way it will be expressed in the way the person engages. That's true. It's not. Um, but the understanding of it is black and white. Okay, that's one way of the light of God. It's called that the light of God that animates the world, that is within the context of the world, within, right, making 10 statements. From the 10, of course, there's many more as we learn, as we will start learning tomorrow in Tanya with a new the second book, actually, Shari Yichud B'Emunah, interestingly enough, um, about how God creates the world. But the importance over here is um, that the 10 statements that individually made the growing of grass, the seas, the sun, the moon, and so on and so forth. So now there's a higher way, though, of bittul, of self-effacement. And that is that in the reality of the light of God that animates everything individually, right? That is tailor-made, that light, for each thing. So therefore you have distinction, right? And that's where the choice comes. Do I see with my physical eye or with my mind's eye? And I can, I can choose. I have choice now. But embedded in that reality of the light of God, that's, again, limited, measured, that inanimate stone is less vitality, less light, less energy of God. Animal is greater, souls in higher worlds is greater. Now there's the light of that God could have created the world with just one statement, meaning the light that's beyond, right? And through our divine service, we can reveal that. What does that mean? It means also a bittul, also a self-effacement, but that would be expressed differently. It's called bittul mitzias, a self-effacement that is beyond the human condition. Human condition, there's duality, and I'm putting aside my desire for the food, right, for a recognition that there's something greater than in this food, is the divine energy that God is animating it, and therefore I deal with it differently when having that kind of awareness. But then there is an awareness that's even greater, that there is only oneness to begin with. It's not, this is coffee and this is, breakfast, and this is my lunch, and this is, my car, and this is my money, and God is animating all of it. So, there is money, there is a coffee, there is this, but really deeper, what is it? It is the light of God that animates it. On this level, what Bittul B'Metzias is, there is no coffee, there is no money. All there is the light of God, the energy of God, the reality of God, right? In everything. All it is to begin with, is divine. Yes, it's divine that's expressing itself in this way or that way, but that's not important. All it is an expression of the divine, period. So a metaphor for this I've used before is that your right hand, you can look at it two ways, two holy ways, right? One is that my right hand, it's just my strong hand, alrighty, is my hand that I throw a ball with, that I can, I can open the door with, I can say hello to somebody, shalom aleichem, right? And the greatest thing I could do with it is I could extend myself to give charity. I could extend myself to reach out to somebody who's in need, to pick them up physically if they need to be picked up, right? Support them. That's what my right hand, right? That's the other. I could do a mitzvah with it. That's the first level of bittul hayesh. That my hand is a hand. It's a something, and the greatest thing I could do with it is reveal the divinity in it and do something, a mitzvah with it. The second way is, no, God created the world because he wanted that charity should be given. He wanted that goodness and kindness should be done. So God creates the world. In that world, he had to create an arm of a person. He had to create a people, and that they have an arm so they could extend to do charity. They could do an act of kindness. They could create a dwelling place for God in this world. So therefore, he creates that you have a right hand, so you could extend yourself in doing an act of loving kindness, right? So from that perspective, there's really no hand. The hand to begin with was only created for you to extend that your hand to be charitable, whether giving literally money or, greeting someone when they come to synagogue and saying, Shalom Aleichem, welcome. Hope you have a wonderful experience here for a new person that walks in, an act of loving kindness. That your hand to begin with is not a hand. It's an expression of God, and its purpose is only the mitzvah. It's different. It's nuanced, right? Where does that come from? That's not the human condition. The human condition is there's duality. Then my hand opens a door for me. My hand does things for me. The greatest I can do is, do something with my hand, a mitzvah. The second way is bittul b'mitzvah says, no, 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 no. There's just divine will. Your hand is an expression of the divine will that's beyond this world. This is a light of God that is b'maimer echad, with one statement, right? That is embedded in all of the individual statements that God animates and creates the world, and that my hand is just an expression of the divine. That's all it is. That's bittul b'mitzias. That's a very lofty, and that's what we're talking about. That's why what happens as a result of God embedding in creation this loftier element of creation, or beyond creation, rather. More to come. Thank you, folks. See you soon.
Rabbi, are angels?
Tanya will not be on Chabad.org, Facebook, Chabad.org. So leave or Davida. I don't know if this is. It was Davida that said, "Yeah, maybe let people know or give the links." Yes, yes, Annie.
Do angels also have freedom of choosing?
No,
No. Okay.
no. That's why they're angels.